Surprise, everyone. We're not done yet. Yes, we just released Schmoeville episode 32. It was like 2.5 hours. I know. We are overwhelming you, but we've got one more thing to do before we leave you until next week. A little birdie told me that the queen herself, Leanne LeCouter, I can't do that rolling tongue thing, has something to say, and we were happy to bring her back. Welcome, Leanne. It's been a long time.
Hello.
You doing okay?
I'm doing really great. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. My boy Brian is also here, of course. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Brian?
Doing pretty well, guys. Glad to be here.
It's been quite a long time since I've been here, actually.
Yeah, you were on. For those of you who don't know, Leanne joined us for episode 6 when the Schmoeville after show, it was in its infancy. Back, me and Paul Wolf were doing the show, and since then the show has made several changes. It looks a whole lot different than it used to. Also, Leanne, I think you'll give a better introduction of yourself for those of you who might not know who you are. So feel free to go ahead and just give us who Leanne is and why you would even be on the Schmoeville podcast.
I am the little voice of reason that hangs in the background that people don't realize is listening and watching everything. That sounds very Big Brother like almost.
Yeah.
No, I am the one who I started Schmoeville back in the day in 2014. The Facebook group, that is. I don't mean to disparage Schmoville as a whole because Schmoville's always kind of been there. But in April of 2014, we started this page, this Facebook group, and it's just grown by leaps and bounds. I mean, we're almost up to 13,000 people who are residing in Schmoeville, and it's just a great place where we can come to to talk about Schmoeville and talk about the guys and Collider and all that stuff. And it's just really, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. I'm kind of like the den mother of everybody, if you will. For lack of a better explanation, I guess you could say. So I'm like the Hard Rock Cafe. I know all, I serve all.
And our background, again, you were on the episode. This podcast came from me joining said Facebook group and getting to know Paul, and it sort of has evolved over time. But that's sort of how Leanne and I met. But Leanne, I believe this is the first time. Is this the first time you and Brian have spoken, guys?
This is the first time that Brian and I have spoken. So, hey, Brian, it's nice to meet you.
Likewise, Leanne.
Awesome. Okay.
I've admired your work for years, though, so I've been well aware.
I'm kind of infamous in that way.
Well, you also have done, I mean, people might not know that you've done a lot of the graphics and artwork that you actually see on the show, right? Is that correct?
In the early days, it sounds so weird to say the early days, but back in like the phase 2, 3, 4 kind of thing, I mean, all of a sudden there's this mad influx of people who are turning out these really great designs and t-shirt designs and everything. So it's like here I am, I'm watching everything unfold in front of me. So it's actually kind of cool.
We are here I'm calling this a Schmoeville special, by the way. Yeah. This was sort of an impromptu thing. It's going to be more raw than what the after show typically is. I have a general idea of why Leanne is here. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to let you go. I mean, I know that you're reacting to something that was said on a previous episode. Let's just get it started and go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I appreciate you giving me this like kind of bully pulpit to kind of speak my mind. When we started Schmoeville, this Facebook page, when I started it, we weren't sure how many people were going to come on to this. It was one of those crazy things that okay, we'll start the page and the guys will just do shout outs to it to, see if people will kind of go over there. Because what was happening is that people just we wanted a place for them to hang out, to, talk about the show, talk about the, the guys, the movie reviews and everything. So it started out innocently enough, if you will. And then it started kind of taking a life of its own, and, 100 became 200, became 500. And it's, like I said, it grew in leaps and bounds. The people who were on it, all the citizens of Schmoeville, if you will, we're a very passionate bunch. We're very protective of, Schmoeville as a whole. We have some amazing conversations there, amazing chats. And let me just say this, not everybody agrees. Okay. Sometimes we have people who are just miserable. And sometimes we have people who are so happy-go-lucky and everything is great with them. And then other times we have people that will push that boundary. So what I did was, knowing this as we're going in, this is something new, I surrounded myself with some really great admins to, help us out. And it's changed over the course of, almost 3 years. We've had some people, come, we've had some people go. We have a good core group right now. And we're constantly on the lookout for everything that's coming through. And we try to make sure that there's not this kind of sense of negativity, because as the show has evolved and now, it's a Collider thing and there's the infamous YouTube chat. And you guys have heard of the YouTube chat, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've spoken about it in the group even recently about how I've been in it a couple of times, not to actively be in it, but just kind of spectate. A lot of times I watch the content on my computer, so it just pops up there. And it's trash. It's trash.
It's total. I mean, no disrespect to those people, because when you get on those things, it's almost like being able to curse in front of your mother. You're just going to say whatever you want to say because you're a keyboard warrior and nobody can see what you're doing and nobody can question you. And you're just going to say the first thing comes to your mouth, and it's not always good. And there's some real, I hate to say it this way, ball baggy comments that are made. And we didn't want to be like that in Schmoville. We wanted to be actually, a pretty decent group where anybody could say what they wanted as long as they were actually, putting a good argument out there for it. You know what I mean? We don't take anything blindly, but we also don't allow people to just come in and be miserable. So that all, leads up to, I listened to your podcast from number 31, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And it's one of these things that kind of got said, and it really rubbed me the wrong way, that, there's a lot of negativity going in there, and I've heard things, and people are saying bad things about the show, about me, and things like that. And I'm speaking, about you guys and everything. Again, no disrespect intended. But one of the things that was very, very, jumped right out at me is that, Brian, you're not a member of the Facebook group. Is that correct?
I'm not a member of Facebook in general.
Okay. But here's the problem that I had with the statement is that you're making the statement, I've heard things. I've heard about negativity.
I've been sent screenshots. That's when I say I've heard things, I am sent screenshots on a regular basis that informs me of the negative things being said about this podcast.
And here's the problem that I have with that. It's like, I would rather that you actually, join Facebook if you'd be so, and actually come onto the page and respond to it. Because what that does when you turn around and make that kind of blanket statement that it's all negative and it's this, that, and the other.
I didn't say that.
It's kind of, that's what I was kind of getting from it, that you were getting nothing but negativity from it. And, the thing is, I take the criticisms that I get on my page because, the page, it is a work in progress. We have people joining all the time. And I do get people who will turn around and say, I hate this page, it's this, and you people suck, and you don't let me say what I want to say, and you're constantly policing it. And it's, okay, well, not true, not true, not true. But it's kind of, it makes it to the point where you're being sent screenshots and you're making a judgment on something instead of maybe joining the fray and saying, look, I'm protective of my work. And quite honestly, if you're going to say something, say it to me right now. You're hearing about it, and you can't defend yourself if you're only hearing about it and you're not making the move to kind of, say this. But what it's also doing is it's making it seem like the page is kind of in the realm of the YouTube comments, and we work really hard for that not to happen. So I guess you could say I'm being very protective of my page because I don't want anybody getting the idea that all we do is allow the ball bags to run crazy and do whatever they want to do. And that's kind of where it's going with it. So it's just my feeling about it. I wasn't thrilled when I heard it. And I went back and I actually listened to it a couple times just to make sure that I wasn't hearing something that wasn't not there, that it was actually, this is what's going on with this. Do I want everybody to have a really great impression of the page? Absolutely. We're human beings. We're not infallible. If we're doing something wrong, we'll look to make it right. Quite honestly, Brett Sheridan brought something up. He said he didn't like a specific movie and people jumped all over him for it. And he went right at it and said, look, you're saying this and this and this about me, and I'm not going to stand for it. And he went back and forth with people. There's a whole posting there. And, people, what we try to do is we try to get people, don't be stupid about it. Just actually, if you have something to say it, but say it with respect, and don't turn around and just say, well, I hate him because he's stupid, because that's not helping anything. That's causing problems for us, because then we have to turn around and say, look, you're giving them a hard time for no reason. You're not willing to back it up. So get it in gear or you're gone. We're not going to put up with it. So I guess, my feeling just coming on and chatting with you guys today is kind of put it out there that we're working really hard on the page and we are doing everything that we can to make sure everybody has a good experience on the page. And I would hate to think that anybody would be listening to what you're saying and, because you're saying, well, they're negative, and it's people thinking, well, I don't want to go there because they're negative. They're like the YouTube chat. I don't want that to happen to the page. You know what I mean? We've got a lot of people who not only are, members of the page, but they're actually going to these Comic-Cons and they're meeting up with these people. They're meeting Ellis at his comedy nights. We're getting out there. We want to meet everybody. We want everybody to be an active part of Schmoeville. And don't forget, these are people who joined in phase 4, phase 5, here we are, phase 6. We need to make sure that people are aware you can say things and you can have intelligent conversations. And it's not this rampant negativity that it was kind of said. Does that make sense?
It does, but please understand, I don't make sweeping generalizations. I know that there's plenty of positive discussions taking place. I'm just speaking to the little bit that I am sent every week via screenshots. And let me give you an example of what I have seen take place.
Okay.
We pasted our new artwork for people's feedback recently. Snelling did, of course. Mm-hmm. And the first comment was a meme that said, "Who cares?" So let me ask you, because this community is supposed to be healthier than the live chat or the YouTube comments, what is done to ensure quality control when something like this happens?
If you're asking us to be like this, what's a good word to put here? We're not going to stop people, because we've had people who throw up to us all the time about, well, you're blocking my free speech. Anybody has the right to turn around and say, well, who cares? Okay. Were they being mean to you in it? You know what I mean? It's a difference between being totally mean and saying, I think that looks like complete and total crap, versus, well, who cares? All right. If it's somebody who's not maybe getting onto, and listening to your show, you're going to get somebody who's indifferent to it. Okay. Is it right? It's not the best thing in the world to have, but at the same time, we can't block people if they haven't said anything that's, we kind of look at it as, are you saying something hideous about it? If somebody said that looks like complete and total dog crap, then yeah, they would have been, you can't say that. Okay.
Let me give you another example.
Okay.
I saw a meme the other day that said, I thought the Schmoville podcast was for Schmoeville. Why is Brian even here? And that, of course, subscribes to this misconception that the Schmoville podcast is only meant for the Schmoville Facebook group, which is a fallacy. That's just not the case, because Schmoville is a blanket term for anyone who loves Schmoes Know, whether it's someone in the live chat, someone in YouTube, someone who buys a t-shirt, someone who used to call in when they had phone call capabilities. So that's another example of why I'm not rushing out to join a Facebook group when I'm constantly sent nothing but terrible things about me, our show, when I've never said anything remotely negative about a group that I have no familiarity with. Okay. I don't know what takes place. I can't speak to it. I can only speak to the things that I'm sent.
Okay. But you're getting sent stuff, and I hate to say it this way, instead of like coming to me about it or coming to, you know, any of the other admins about it, you just said you don't make a blanket generalization about something, but your mind is basically made up. I'm never going there. If somebody put a meme out and says, well, you know, this is supposed to be about Schmoeville, why is Brian here? It could very well be that, you know, people are probably like, who are you exactly? I hate to say it like that. That sounds awful to say, and I don't mean it like that, but I'm trying to think of a better way to say it. You know, we're looking at, you know, Snelling because, you know, he's been around. We know who he is. But all of a sudden, like, here you are, and you're not part of the page, so we don't know who you are. We've never...
But I've been around longer than Snelling. I've been around longer than the person who posted that meme. Just because I'm not a member of the Facebook group does not make me someone who's not a Schmoevillian.
But I think... I'm not saying you're not, man, but I think...
That's the misconception that keeps happening. That's the issue I keep seeing, is that some people think that we're supposed to be an extension of the Facebook group, that it's supposed to be for the Schmoeville Facebook group, when it's supposed to be for all of Schmoeville, all of its extensions.
Well, the funny thing is that, you know, if that is the case, then we shouldn't even be putting your podcast up on our page. You know what I mean? It's like you're willing to, you know, let us put it out there as a Schmoeville thing, but you're also turning around saying, well, this is all for Schmoeville and it's not for, you know, I don't have to present myself in there. I think what it is that, you know, people have this kind of familiarity with with everybody that's in there. You see people who post a lot. You see people who don't post a lot. You know, you see people who can't wait to jump all over a thing the minute we put it on there. You know, you're trying to get your show out there in the mainstream. Kristian plugs it. Everybody, you know, these guys are all plugging it for you. We're plugging it for you. But at the same time, you're turning around saying, well, I'm never going to be a member of the Schmoeville Facebook page. Why should I be?
I also didn't say that.
Okay, man, if you've been around for a long time, that's great. Okay, I've been around for a good long time as well. All right, I don't post all the time, but people know who I am. Okay, it's one of those things that, you know, it's like a familiarity. Maybe people aren't familiar with you, even though you've been around for a long time. You know, I just posted something today basically saying to people, look, I've said this before, and I'm not saying it again. I don't care if you don't agree with someone's opinions. It doesn't give you the right to act like a total pain in the ass about it and say that it's my way or the highway. That's what we do not do. Okay, we don't allow people to sit there and say, your opinion sucks, and that's how I'm saying it, because we'll bounce them. We've bounced people for that, okay? I'm just saying that as the person who's, like, ultimately, I'm like, you know, the one who's in charge of the whole thing. I've got my admin team around me. They do everything that they can so we can keep this ship running smooth. And when you hear something that, okay, well, I get screenshots all the time. Well, I'd like to know who you're getting the screenshots from, because it sounds like the only thing that they're sending you is negative. And that really isn't fair when you think about it, because maybe they deliberately skipped over 12 people who turned around and said, oh, wow, did you guys hear the Schmoeville podcast? It was actually really good this week. Okay, and they said some really great things. You know, you guys know this. Being in the public eye, because you're going to have the weight of the world come down on you. You're going to have people constantly saying, you did this bad, you did this bad, you did this bad. You can either have a spine of steel, or you can sit there and say, well, I just don't want to talk to them because they said something bad about me. And it's like, you know, if I had a dime for every time somebody turned around to me and said, you're stifling my free speech by removing a posting, I would be rich and wouldn't have to teach. You know, I could just sit in front of my computer all day policing a page that should, theoretically speaking, be able to run smoothly all the time. It doesn't. Okay? It is a work in progress, and quite honestly, we dedicate our time to this. It's a labor of love. Okay? We are trying to get people out there. We want people engaged with the page. We want people to actually, you know, drop things on there and talk about, you know, things. Hey, Kristian's talking about the new Star Wars book. What do you guys think about it? You know, is he going to bring it up? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do this? Okay, we have Ken back in the whatchamajigget fold again for Collider. What's Ken going to do this week? You know what I mean? I'm not questioning you and how long you've been part of Schmoeville. And, good for you. I'm glad to hear there's another old timer, like me. I'm glad to hear that. All right. It seems like
hang on a second. Sorry to interrupt. I do a segment called a history lesson, Schmoeville history lesson. I do these history lessons to benefit people who are new to the community, and that includes the Facebook group. When we first started discussing these, it was meant to benefit anyone who was new to this world, whether it's the group, the YouTube comments, it doesn't matter. I want to make something clear, though. I have never once criticized the Facebook group. I have only responded to criticism that Snelling brings up on the show from the Facebook group. I don't criticize things that I have no familiarity with or that I don't know. You say people don't know me, but that doesn't give them any grounds to criticize me just because I don't prefer being on Facebook. It's a life choice that there's a million reasons I don't like being on Facebook or that I don't agree with some of the things that happen on Facebook. They have nothing to do with Schmoeville. That doesn't mean I think that I'm too good for it. It's just it's a thing that I need in my life to be. I can't have 25 social networks.
I'm going to interrupt you on that one because, number one, I never said that. Okay? Never said that. What I'm basically saying is, you're sitting there telling me that you don't need to take criticism from somebody. You're not on this page, and you therefore don't need to take criticism.
I didn't say that either.
I mean, I hate to say it this way, and maybe I'm just a different person than you are, but, I don't mind if somebody criticizes me if it means I'm going to do something, different or better or whatever. I can attribute that to, I was years in advertising, and I do have, I can take whatever criticism you're going to throw at me. But you're basically saying you don't want to hear any bad criticism. And quite honestly, there is, no disrespect, there's nobody who's perfect. Okay. I mean, I run a page. It is not a perfect page. I wish it was. It doesn't happen that way. I am not disparaging you. I'm not sitting there saying that you deliberately said, nastiness about the Facebook page, but you're kind of throwing it out there that it's nothing but negativity that you're seeing. And what you're seeing is based upon screenshots that somebody is sending you that is nothing but negativity. So I guess my question is, how can you basically say that it's nothing but negativity when you're not seeing anything else? You're seeing one aspect of this. You're seeing, they said that I said something nasty about somebody and therefore they hated me for saying it. But you're not giving a chance to it. I'm not saying that you should be on Facebook. I wish you were. I wish you were on the page, because then, you know what? You can pull a Brett Sheridan and say, dude, I got a problem with what you said. Say it to me. Bring it on right now. Let's talk. Okay? You're not part of the group. I'm not saying that you have to be. Okay? I understand Schmoeville is everywhere. I understand it's one of these crazy things that kind of takes on a mind of its own. But you can't sit there and tell me that you get these things sent to you and it's nothing but negativity, and you can't tell me that that is a proper way to actually turn around and pass judgment on a group, because you're getting nothing but negativity. That's how you would
think after 12 episodes. You would think after I've been on the show 12 episodes. You would think that someone by now would have sent a positive screenshot where someone's like, hey, I really appreciated Brian's history lesson this week. I didn't know this about Dobby. I didn't know this about Tiffany and Anne Hathaway because I'm new to this community. That was really great, but I've never sent those things. And
okay, but it seems like the only thing they're sending you is negativity. You don't know it's not out there because all you're getting is negativity.
Are there positive things?
Let me say something. I'm sitting here listening, and I'm listening, and we're getting further away from the problem, and I don't really even think we have to argue the fact that the thing that we all just need to stay away from us, Leanne, the entire group in general, is to just try not to make the generalizations. Like, for one, as Brian's co-host, I have sent him things from the Facebook group. I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't know if there are plenty of others that send him this. I don't know who he's talking about. I am one of them, because some of the stuff I send him I actually just think is funny. Like the meme of who cares, I thought was funny because it's kind of, humiliating, but in a good way. Like, not everyone, I've said it several times. As the host of the show, I've said it several times, actually in the Facebook group. Yeah. I don't need everyone to listen to the show. I don't need everyone to like the show. I've even said before that if I wasn't the host of the show, I don't even know if I would be listening every week, because typically I'm not just a fan of after shows, but I do love hosting podcasts, and I do love Schmoes Know, and that's why I do what I do. But what I do need is for people to just understand what it is. And I fight for the podcast often in the Facebook group, more so lately, just because it's kind of, again, become this new thing, and it seems to be, polarizing to some people. I think that even though we might have accidentally said something that could be a blanket statement, for the most part, and there's no denying, the support that we get has been overwhelming. It's extremely positive, but at the same time, there have been people, and I'm new to this. I'm new to it, so if this is just a learning curve, I don't know how to always take criticism, and sometimes I might overreact, and I'm not saying that that's what's Brian doing. I can't speak to how Brian takes things in, but it's a difficult thing to learn how to handle. But I hope that people who are listening to this right now, who are in the Facebook group, if there has been someone who has harassed me online, whether it be from the Facebook group or on Twitter, I've tried, and I don't think I've ever thought of it as the Facebook group as a whole being negative. Now,
I never said that either.
I'm not speaking for you. I'm just saying what
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, man. Because I'm looking through the pictures that we have in Schmoeville and everything, and I found the one about your new logo and everything. By the way, the logo, it looks good. I love the colors, but I'm a color geek as far as
shout out to Jay Williams.
Okay, good shout out to him, man, because it looks banging. Great job. Okay, but I'm looking at the comments on this, and one person said, since blue and yellow are my two favorite colors, I'd say I'm into it. Another one turned around and said, props to Jay Williams. You did, Ryan, for props to Jay Williams. I like it. It's easier on the eyes than the red. Another person turned around and said, great design. I love it. Love the new logo. Wait, Ken will be on the show. Yay. Like it's Centurion. Nice one. Yeah, I like it. Good job. So, Brian, I hate to say it this way, man. You got negative. You got some negative, but there's positive here. So I guess, we can sit here and go back and forth all night and everything. And what basically it is going to come down to is you have your feelings about Facebook and about the Facebook group. I respect them. Okay. I'm not going to sit there and try to tell you you're wrong. And how dare you say this about my page? Please understand that I am protective of my page. I want to just get it out there that, look, we do try to curb negativity in Schmoeville. We do everything we can to make sure the people have a good experience on the page, that they're not unnecessarily mean to people. Okay? If you are being sent nothing but negativity, I think I would question the people that are sending it to you. Like, why do you keep sending me negative things? I would love to see some positives, because they are out there. So would I. Okay, well, they are out there. I just read them to you. That's
about someone else's logo. That's not about my work. I put at least 20 hours of work into. I put 20 hours of work into a free podcast to support somebody else's business. The history lessons take about 4 hours. You'd think by now that someone from Facebook would have said something to me like, "Hey, great job on informing me of something that I did not know." So, Snelling, have you ever seen someone compliment a history lesson in the Facebook group? I'm just curious.
Not that I'm aware of. Not off the top of my head.
Here's another one from, I want to say it's from episode 30. If you're not listening to this podcast, you're missing out on something special, because Ryan and Brian have great chemistry.
Look, as someone who posts in the Facebook group, I'm obviously the one who sees it. Look, I don't think that there's no question. I can't sit here and comfortably say that it's overwhelmingly negative. You're absolutely right. I saw that post firsthand because I got all the comments as soon as they came in. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that really showed up on that post was the meme. But Brian, that's the one example that you had. I know that
I gave 2 examples. The second example was a meme that said, "I thought the Schmoville podcast was for Schmoeville. Why is Brian even here?" That shows that that particular person does not realize that Schmoville is a bigger thing than just the Facebook group. It's not just limited to this specific subset.
But that's based upon what that person thinks.
But that's not the only time we've had comments like that. Some people think that we are expected to relay the opinions of the Schmoeville Facebook group, and that if they don't agree with our opinions, that we're not worthy of the Schmoville name. We've seen that complaint a number of times. So do you think it's even possible for us to represent 13,000 people's opinions? Is that even the purpose? I thought we're supposed to relay our own experiences in the Schmoelighter universe, and if some people agree with those, great. Some people won't, obviously, but we can only do based on what we know and what our experiences are. We cannot speak for everyone, but that doesn't mean we're not a part of Schmoeville.
But here's the thing. I think you're making that a bigger thing than it should be. Quite honestly, you're taking based upon what one person said on
multiple people have said that same sentiment.
You're arguing with me about what a handful of people are saying to you. Okay, about that. You're not part of Schmoeville. Do you not understand that people are part of a Facebook group, and quite honestly, they think that the Facebook group is all that. Okay, that this is Schmoeville to them. All right, this is where they go. This is Schmoeville to them. They're looking at it from, here is where I go. This is Schmoeville to me. Okay, when I'm thinking about Schmoeville, me personally, I think immediately about, okay, the Facebook page. Do I know that Schmoeville as a whole is bigger than that? Yes. Okay, but the first thing I think of immediately is, okay, the page. All right, but that's because I started the page. Okay, so it's always going to be Schmoeville to me. Do I realize it's this big, giant conglomerate? Yes. Okay, but some people, because they take time out of their day to come to that page. Okay, that is where their page is, and that's what they want. That's what they believe that Schmoeville is. And they should. It's their place. Schmoeville was created for that.
That's where the problem stems from. There is a certain number of people who think that we're supposed to represent the Facebook group because they mistakenly believe that Schmoeville is, in fact, the Facebook group when it's much bigger than that.
Well,
Schmoeville is anyone who loves Schmoes Know.
Okay, but here's the thing.
We get criticism from people who think that we're supposed to be an extension of them, and if they knew that Schmoeville is bigger than just a Facebook group, there would be less criticism as a result of knowing what Schmoeville actually is.
Well, I guess my question to you is, if you know that you're doing the best job that you can do and you're happy with what you're turning out, it seems like you're really putting what, as you say, a handful of people keep telling you, you're putting that above everything else that you're doing. Okay, we're a small group on Facebook. That's what we are. This is what we do. Okay, but yet...
And I don't disrespect it every week. I don't take pot shots at it every single week. Okay. I respond to criticism that is brought up on this show or that is sent to me. I don't just go out of my way to take whatever jabs I can at it. I don't do that. I don't make sweeping generalizations. I'm sure there are great people, and I've complimented you on this very show before, that I'm a big fan of you. I love a ton of the graphics that you've done currently and in the past, so I'm not taking shots at this group. Dude, I'm always having to defend my show.
I am not taking shots at you at all, okay? Quite honestly, I love that you guys do this show. I think it's great. It's great to hear the recap of it, okay? I've been so slammed the last couple of weeks that I'm coming into the show late. So, if I get to, listen to it and hear what I've missed, cool. Okay? I appreciate it.
Do you relay to your audience that you like our show? When you talk about our show with your audience, with your group, do you relay that you like our show?
Please understand, dude. I have been basically in the last couple of weeks, I'm a teacher. I'm a senior class advisor. I am constantly at work at this point. Okay. I have my weekends to do these things. When things come around, if I respond, and quite honestly, I don't respond to a lot of things. I just watch as things are going through. Have I said anything bad about your show? Absolutely not. I never have. If somebody says, is the podcast good? Yeah, it's good. Give it a listen. Okay. I mean, if you want me to be all gung-ho, oh my God, you need to listen to this. It's the best thing ever, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's episodes of the Schmoes Know that I'm like, okay, yeah, it was good.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, we think that too.
Was it necessarily great? No. I hate to say it that way. So am I going out of my way? I can honestly say in the last couple of weeks, not really, because I simply haven't had the time to. Okay. And that's no disrespect on you guys or telling you.
You called yourself the den mother.
What?
You called yourself the den mother. You're the admin of this group. You ultimately set the tone for what the rest of the group may or may not take on. But people do look to you as a leader. So if you set the tone and say that you support the show, more people will.
If you want me to speak nothing but highly of your
Of course not. You can be honest if we give out a bad show. But if you set the tone...
You're sitting there saying that you already said to me that you're the den mother and you're watching everything. But you know what, man? If you want me to say nothing but nice things about your show, that's
not what I said. You're saying that. I'm saying you are the den mother. You set the tone. If people know that you are a fan, even if sometimes you don't like everything, if people know by and large, generally that you're a fan, that's going to go a long way towards improving the rhetoric that is currently taking place.
Dude, people are going to listen to me or not listen to me. I can't control what 12,000, just like you always say, I can't control what almost 13,000 people are saying. Okay. I can monitor the progress on my page of when people get to the point where they're being mean, snarky, bitchy, ball baggy. I can stop them from doing that. If somebody's going to sit there and say, oh, here's a new logo, I don't care. I've had people tell me that my stuff is complete garbage sometimes. This looks awful. Okay. What are you going to do? Okay. You can't please everybody. Okay. If you want me to give a shout to your show and say, guys, everybody, you need to be listening to the show, I have no problem doing that. But if
I don't need weekly plugs. I just need a tone that's established. I need people to know by and large that you're a fan.
Okay, I'm a fan of your show.
Or a supporter, an advocate. I don't need you to plug us every week. I don't need you to do anything beyond the bare minimum.
Okay, but here's the same thing that you could flip that quarter over. If you don't feel the same way about the fan page, then don't plug it. Okay, because if you sit there and say that, well, there's a lot of negativity on the page, I don't need that. I don't need somebody sitting there saying, well, there's a lot of negativity here. Oh, and by the way, you guys need to get over to Schmoville and you need to sign up. It's that kind of defeats.
I'm happy to take the high road and plug it. We do plug it. We brought it up last week or in the current episode that was just uploaded today. But I have no problem supporting the network because I know that the majority of it is positive. I've just seen a small number of things towards my work or my show or Snelling that I don't care for. I know it doesn't represent the whole. But I believe in the greater good of things. I believe in taking the high road. I'm trying to support Mark and Kristian's business. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm here, because I love Schmoes Know, and I can add something to everyone's experience, just like your Facebook group can add to everyone's experience. And it's important that we all support each other. We don't have to worship each other. We don't have to plug each other every 5 seconds, but we should be in harmony.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely, you know what? I agree with you 100% on that. There are people on our page who, there's one person, we tell people all the time, please don't get on us about doing the daily postings, the master post for stuff. And there's like a couple of people that are constantly, they get really snarky with us if we don't get it up right away. Okay. And we've had to call them out a couple of times like, look, we're doing the best we can to get this done. Please understand, though, we do have lives. We do have jobs. And we're trying to get this done in the background to make sure you guys have a place that you can chat. Okay? We're trying to herd kittens, quite honestly. It's, you're trying to make everybody happy. All the time, you try to make everybody happy. I don't want anybody to ever walk away from this page and say, oh my God, I hated that page. It was the worst thing ever. And when somebody hears, well, I hear nothing but negativity about that page, that doesn't help. Okay. That really and truly doesn't help, man. I'm willing to go on record and say, look, I've listened to your podcast. You guys give a really interesting take on things. I feel like it's one of those things that, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You're not always going to love what people have to say about you. I know this. I've been around for a long time. Okay. I've had people be deliberately cruel to me and tell me that everything I touched was absolute garbage. But you know what? All right, cool. Your opinion. Okay, we have to kind of work in harmony here. No, you are not speaking for 13,000 people in Schmoeville. Okay, I understand you are speaking for the hundreds of thousands of people who consider themselves part of Schmoeville. We don't have everybody, because if that was the case, we're not having this conversation right now, because we've got over 100,000 people in there, and it's case closed. But unfortunately, what happens is this. We get people who diss our page all the time. You guys get people who diss your podcast all the time. It's, it's what you do when you put your work out in the public eye. Nothing is perfect. Okay. And for us to sit there and assume that it's going to be a perfect world, well, then we're just closing our eyes to realization, quite honestly.
Let me be clear on something.
Look at my page and be happy that they stopped by the page. I want people to listen to your podcast and be happy that they took the time to listen to your podcast. Okay? If you want me to give a shout out to your podcast, I will. Wholeheartedly, these guys are good. Give them a listen.
Let me be clear on something. I have never condemned the page as a whole. I've never made a sweeping generalization based on the negative I didn't say that either. Please let me finish my point.
Okay.
Based on the limited experiences that I've had, the little things I've seen, I'm only speaking to what I've seen, but I've never condemned the page or the group as a whole. I don't make sweeping generalizations. I don't. I know better than that. I've learned that lesson 15 years ago. So I don't condemn the page as a whole. I just don't like the little things that I'm seeing each week. And that's why part of me is reluctant to go out and join the group. But I will absolutely consider it, because I think it would be healthy for me to be in there, for me to defend the show or thank people when they do support the show. So it's not, I'm not ruling it out.
As a personal aside, let me just say this, okay? I would love for you to be a part of it. Okay. Not because I'm trying to, bump my numbers up or anything like that. All right. But literally because I want you to be able to have that voice to answer somebody who says, I don't like that you said this. Okay. Well, explain to me why. Okay. Tell me why. I'll be happy to debate you. Okay. Here's what we don't want. We don't want people being mean-spirited. When we see it, we take it down. Okay, please understand, all of my admins, we take this stuff down. All right, we don't allow this to just go off the rails and people can say everything that they want. We basically hold people to a certain standard in Schmoeville, because quite honestly, I've been on pages where people are absolutely miserable, that they're allowed to say anything, they're allowed to act any way they want. But you know what? I got a group of people. And it's Brian, it's Chris, it's Ava, Jen. Who am I missing? There's a bunch of us. Leanne. There's a lot. Okay, there's a lot. Tyler, Justin, Rossica, Michael. We bust our asses to make sure that this page is a good experience for everybody. I am sorry that you are getting nothing but negativity sent to you. I am mortified that that's what gets sent to you, instead of, hey, I gave it a listen and it was a pretty decent podcast. I'm mortified that that's what somebody would think that you would want to see. How sad. How sad.
I mean, this show is done in our free time. We do this out of love. We do it for fun. We do it because we can add something.
Yep.
And
so is our page. So is our page. It's a labor.
You don't want to be criticized for something that is a labor of love. Correct. So
I don't want to be criticized for it, but you know what? I take the criticism and I say, okay, this is what they said. What can we do to change it? Okay. If they have a valid point, then we will look to change it. Okay. But if they don't, it's like, okay, it's just this one being a ding dong. We'll let them go. Okay. You're never going to get everybody to agree with you. Okay, what is it that Ben Franklin said? You can't get 13 clocks to chime at the same time. You can't. Okay, we can't. We've tried. Okay, we adore everybody that's on our page. We really do, and we bust our asses for them. You guys do something that's totally a labor of love that you don't get paid for. I don't get paid for this. My admins don't get paid for this. We do it, and we're the ones who are in the firing line when people don't like something. Okay, so guess who they're going to blame it on? They're going to blame it on you. I don't like how you talked about Josh McCouga. I don't like how you talked about this one. I don't like how you talked about Brett. Okay. Thank you. We'll take it under advisement. Okay.
Quick aside. Yeah. You designed the Phase 6 live show logos, right?
Yep.
Let me just say, and I've said this before I've said this on the show before.
No, please tell me if you think it's awful, because I got into a really bad thing with somebody about it.
No, hang on a second. The live show, the black and white logos, correct?
The black and white ones, yes.
I've said on this show that I wish that they would apply that branding to all of their videos across the Schmoes Know channel so that it has that consistent look to it. I mean, that's what branding and brand identity entails.
Absolutely.
So I've gone to bat specifically for your work because I love the way those logos look.
And let me tell you,
I like the minimalist look. I like the black and white. I like how simplified everything is, especially when that artwork is up there. So I just want to make sure that you get your due.
No, and I appreciate that, dude. Let me tell you something. I really do appreciate that, because honestly, I got into a very bad situation with somebody who critiqued the work, and they didn't give me it's not so much a respect thing as much as it was, if you had such a huge critique of it, then, kind of DM me and just say, look, this and this and this and this and this. I take everything under advisement and be like, okay, you know what, you're right. Maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have done that, whatever. And this person did not do that. And it was a really bad situation. And I was just like, you know what, man, if they're happy with it, then that's what's important to me. If the guys like it, cool. I am glad that you like it. It's like very odd. Not odd, but I haven't heard it a lot. So thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. But that's what I'm saying. It's criticism, and it's just like, all right, dude, I'm just letting this roll right off my back because I'm not going to please you, so I'm not going to bother to try.
But here, that's the thing, though. I made that specific point on one of my first shows, maybe the first or second one. I can't remember.
I appreciate that.
But people never relay those sort of things. I mean, you never heard. You didn't know this, obviously. People didn't send it to you. But I wish as a group, Schmoville, this is really all of Schmoville. Yeah. I wish people, it is wishful thinking, but I wish people would remember the positive things or point out the positive things as much as they do the negative things. If you're going to point out one negative, always balance it out by pointing out one positive. So I think that if everybody follows that guideline in their head, if they're going to criticize us, at least point out something that they liked as well. Just to be fair.
I agree with that.
Everybody's better off that way.
There's no reason for people to be mean-spirited, and I hate, loathe, and despise when it happens, especially in my group, because I'm constantly like, come on, guys, really? Okay, don't do that. We don't have to be that way. I get it. You have an opinion. You want to share it, and you want to let everybody know that you're right. But it doesn't work that way all the time. You have to allow people to say, look, my opinion's better, and this is why. Okay, and back it up. I don't have any problem with your podcast, okay? I think you guys are doing a really great thing here. I would love it if we could just, like you said, we should all just kind of work together here, okay? We are a little tiny portion of the Schmoeville kingdom, our little thing. And I just wanted to get my feelings out there about, look, we're trying really hard here, and look, there is some positivity here. It's not just negative. Okay. I appreciate that you took the time to listen to me, quite honestly, because you could have told me, look, I ain't listening to you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. So I do appreciate that you did that. Okay. I want everybody to have a great experience. I want people to listen to your podcast because it brings everything together. If you've missed it, like I've missed the beginnings for a couple weeks, it's good to be able to sit there and listen to it. Okay. So yes, I will absolutely, on the page, guys, who's not listening to this podcast, you should be. Okay, anybody who's listening right now, listen to this podcast. They're good guys. They're doing a good thing here. And they're doing it for us. That's the thing. If anybody's going to sit there and take them to task, well, this is Schmoeville. Everybody is Schmoeville. Okay, we are a tiny little piece of this kingdom right now. Okay, and we have to work together. We really do.
Well,
so
despite my issues with Facebook as a whole, I will sign up specifically for the group.
Okay.
I'm not going to post daily, but I'm going to lurk initially just to survey the landscape, and then maybe once a week, I'll pick out select comments and I'll respond to them as fairly as I can.
Absolutely. And I said this, that my admins are on top of these things. And if you see something that you're not liking, let us know. Okay, we will take care of it, man. If you turn around and say, I don't like how this one is saying or this one's saying, and this isn't cool what he said, okay, if we didn't see it, we'll look at it and we'll throw the warning, man. We absolutely will. I would love to have you there just so your thoughts are represented. Instead of you getting negativity, decide for yourself.
I think it took 45 minutes for us to agree that generalizations are a mistake for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure that we're staying constructive with our criticism and support each other.
Yes.
I think this comes down to that.
Yes, I think it does.
I mean, are we all in agreement?
Well said. I think that's a good note.
I'd say amen.
This is my George Costanza moment where he feels so pleased with himself. He just throws his hands in the air and says, "Well, I'm done." That's the one good thing that I could contribute to this conversation.
That's awesome.
I mean, is that it?
I said what I wanted to say. I defended my realm.
Well, good. That's why I wanted you here. To let me just say one more thing. Look, I've been a part of the Facebook group. I have talked to you before, Leanne. I think that it is for the good, and you're absolutely right. It is the best place for the fans to be. It is not the cesspool that the YouTube live chat can be sometimes. And I hope that people who are listening to the show, I hope that our responses to I don't want to be hypocrites, essentially. So I hope that it never comes across that way, because we fight for the fact that we might have to criticize. We might have stuff that we have to say about the Schmoes themselves. I talk about Ellis differently week to week, or Kristian or Makuga famously. So we can't be hypocrites. We have to be able to say, look, if you guys want to have a discussion about this podcast, if you feel like that we aren't representing you, tell us why. But I just hope that you don't feel that way, because that was never supposed to be the case. So if we've ever said anything that made you think that, then that's what we have to apologize for. But I think that Schmoeville, for me, being in the Facebook group overall, has been a positive experience. And I was, just talking about it the other day, how much I am humbled by the fact that I even get to do this podcast, get to talk to you, Leanne, because you're a huge reason why I even do this.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you. I hope that everyone who's listening to this, especially if you're in that Facebook group, I hope that you know that this all comes from a good place, and that we had this discussion for you. Mm-hmm. So I hope that's sort of
clear. And when the people listening, I hope the next time that they go to post something, I hope they think about, based on this conversation, what their criticism does to us, because it does affect us, and people can recognize that based on this conversation. So hopefully they adjust themselves a little bit, just a little bit, based on what they heard in this conversation.
I hope that they take what we always try to do in Schmoville itself, and that they actually listen to it when we say, you don't have to be mean-spirited. It's okay to disagree with somebody. It really and truly is. But you have to kind of keep yourself in check with it. You can't just blindly say, oh, well, he sucks. Well, what's the reason that he sucks? Okay, it's, he wears funny shirts. Okay, is that the reason he sucks? Please back it up. And that's what we always say. If you're going to have an opinion, and everybody has them, please back up what you're saying to people. Okay. Don't just throw something out there that I really just hate you and I don't know why, because then you're leaving it open for people to interpret it that they're nothing but negative over there because they said they hated you. You know what I mean? I don't want people to ever do that. And that's why I'll throw the warning out there. Guys, we're better than this. We are not the YouTube chat, so stop doing it. Okay? And I know people hate when I do that because they're like, oh man, here she goes again. Here I go dragging out my little soapbox, and they hate it.
And just so Brian knows, and I don't interact with you very often, Leanne, but just so Brian knows, you do have interesting rants sometimes.
I do.
Every now and then you frequently come in there and just be like, guys, just a reminder, don't suck ass and don't make this a terrible experience. You have done that.
That's why I'm saying if there's any issues, bring them to me. Bring them to my admins, and we will, we'll take care of them. Seriously.
Before we sign off here, let me just ask you, who were you talking about with the ugly shirts? Is that Makuga? It's just a joke. Okay. it fell flat.
I would never say anything bad about any of them. I mean, I love these. I really do love these guys. And I hate when, I'm like you guys, I hate when somebody actually says anything nasty about somebody, because I'm like, how could you? These are just, these are good people. And everybody in Schmoville, we're good people. You get people who are very passionate. Okay, almost too much passionate sometimes. But you have to.
I call it tough love. Today I gave Copster tough love. I gave Ken tough love. I mean, I wouldn't do this show if I didn't love all of these people.
And you know what? And they're professionals, and they get it. You know what I mean? They're going to respond to you, and they're going to appreciate what you say, because you're saying to them, hey, man, don't suck. You know what I mean?
Right. And as I've said before, there's a line that I don't cross. I dance in front of it. I don't go after their appearance or what their beliefs are, their personal lives. I don't name call. I'm very careful to make sure that my criticism comes from a good place and that it's constructive.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Mad respect from me to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll plug it on our page. We have a clean slate today. This is it. Please come and join us, Brian. I would love to have you there, and I would love to hear your take when somebody says something, honestly.
I absolutely will. Leanne, please remind everyone where they can find more of you and your work.
Oh, dear Lord, no. I am, you probably have seen me on Twitter. I'm at LeCouter on Twitter, and of course I can always be found lurking in the background of the Schmoville fan page. I am there. And that's
I was gonna say this whole hour was sort of a plug for where people can find you.
That's exactly right. How did you guess? My diabolical plan worked.
Brian, where can the people find you on the internet?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at BDF331, as well as my TV film podcast, Film Schlubs, at filmschlubspodcast.com or wherever podcasts are found.
You can find me on Twitter at WhatUpSnell, and of course on the Schmoeville After Show. And I just put up a Doctor Strange review on my new podcast, Sight and Sound. So that's there for you guys. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the latest After Show that we just put up, because I actually just posted it as we're recording this. So hopefully I haven't looked at those comments yet.
I was listening to it before I got on with you guys. So.
You're a sweetheart. We appreciate it.
I try. I try.
Let's actually, instead of only talking through a Schmoeville special, let's actually get you back to recap the after show with us for sure.
Yes, we should do that.
Definitely.
I would love to.
We will plan that.
I would love to be on again, where we can just sit back and chitty chat and hoist some martinis or whatever. Okay.
We'll figure out what we're drinking. I don't know about martinis, but we'll figure it out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Bye, Leanne. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.